Hey everyone, it's Danielle Taylor with Keller Williams Realty here on the beautiful Outer Banks. And today I've got so much feedback from everybody about short-term rentals that I brought my favorite property managers in today to talk to us about short-term rentals from their perspective. So today I have Beatty from Village Realty and Jana from Village Realty. So excited to have you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk about a few different topics, and most of this has come from questions that I get from buyer clients or seller clients, and you guys are the experts. Just to start, we could just kind of talk a little bit about property management in general and kick it off with, if you guys could give us a little overview of how Village Realty works, their rental program, and how your approach might be a little bit different from other traditional property management companies.
Right. So one of the big things that we do at Village Realty is we are owner-centric. We pretty much make everything revolve around what that owner needs, what our owners need to be done in order to be positive and have a positive relationship with them. Part of doing that, we don't abide by the traditional property management business model. We do owner relations and guest relations.
Oh, okay.
So every owner that comes into our program will have an owner relations manager assigned to them. They can go to for all the questions, comments, concerns, whether it's rentals related, housekeeping, maintenance, whatever it is. And that owner relations manager can really focus in on their needs rather than having to worry in the back of their mind about what is this guest going to worry about, what is this guest thinking. We have a whole guest relations team that handles that.
Oh, okay.
So it's much more focused in on the property owners.
We want to be this professional property management company for our homeowners and offer them all different arrays of this business. So we do have different niches that our folks are responsible for, that they're kind of experts in their position and their industry. We want to be able to not only maintain their property for them from like a property care standpoint, but we also want to help them maximize their income potential. We want to help them if they're just looking to offset some expenses and ultimately retire. We want to help them through that. So we really try to cater to the individual homeowner's preferences, where it's a one-stop shop, but it's not a one-size-fits-all.
I love that. I love that. So that's awesome. That gives us kind of a general sense of how you guys approach the program. So one of the biggest questions that I get from actually buyers and also current owners is trying to evaluate the difference between traditional property management versus self-management. So how would you guys describe the biggest differences between the two?
I think the biggest difference that people don't automatically think about is if you are self-managing, you're getting the 2 a.m., 3 a.m. phone call that the AC isn't working or all of a sudden the refrigerator's warm.
Yes.
So you're the one, the property owner is the one who has to handle every single nuance with that home.
I like to say it's a full-time job. It is our full-time job.
Yes.
They likely have their own.
Yeah.
So, and we try to be experts in our industry. So, you know, there are those nuances with each property, and we want to try to help the homeowner with the understanding of it is very much full-time maintenance, full-time work, and allow us to do it for you.
Great. So what do you think some of the misconceptions people have about traditional property management?
I think one of the biggest, nuances for a homeowner to understand is that the second they turn it over to a vacationing guest, it becomes that vacationing guest. They're going to utilize it. They're going to move some chairs around. They're not going to necessarily use it for how the homeowner thinks that they should. They're going to use it for what works best for their families. So that can be a little problematic to kind of wrap their heads around, is the concept that it's not necessarily theirs for that guest week. And that is difficult, I think, to kind of relay from a property manager standpoint of explaining why something happened and how it happened.
Right. So when a person is deciding which property management company to work with, what are the kinds of things what questions should they be asking? What kinds of things should they make sure that they understand when they're evaluating property management companies?
So I would absolutely ask as many, open-ended questions as you can. I would read over the contract because, the contract is always set for worst case scenarios, but but at the end of the day, it will really help outline kind of the culture of that company, the amount of fees that they're charging, how they care for your property. And I really would have an honest conversation with your property manager, your owner liaison, and say, you know, this is what I'm looking for, you know, does this match your company culture? I think that there's so much to be said for it's a professional relationship, but this is an investment property, even if it's a second home, even if you're going to retire to it one day, and you want to ensure that it's being cared for in a way that you're comfortable with, something that is personal to you, that you're content with, how it's being maintained, how it's being managed, how the rentals are fulfilling. So I really would ask those types of questions, those leading questions, to make sure.
I think Kara hit on all the really big, very important ones, being that number one, read your contract.
Thank you for saying that. Please, everybody, read your property management contract.
Absolutely. Don't ever sign anything without reading it. Number one.
Well, that's a whole other.
So when I meet with owners, onboarding them into the program, I always, whether they're tech savvy folk or not, I always give them a hard copy contract. Because I say, you know, you might want to highlight something, you might have questions that you're not thinking of right now. Go back and read it again and let me know what your questions are, because there's no such thing as too many questions.
Right.
That contract's going to give you the insight into that company that you're discussing.
Yeah, and I really love that you said ask open-ended questions for culture, because, you know, something tweaked with me when you were talking and saying, you know, look, we're not perfect. So some things are going to go wrong at some points, right? I don't care if you self-manage, if you traditional manage, whatever you do, things are going to go wrong. But if you're starting from a place of being in the same culture or feeling the same culture as that property management company, I feel like you're going to have a better chance to work through that together. So I love that. I thought that was brilliant.